Oh, I ran out of space on my phone, so it died. I know that it sounds crazy, but I really, kind of, I've been reviewing my thinking and been realizing that I've had very high expectations and, kind of, I'm not perfect. Why should I expect perfection? But, I just wanted to help him, just to aim to be better, even in a future relationship. I actually kind of wanted to be with him. That's why I wanted to try to help him. It sounds crazy, but I just felt like he never meant to ever hurt me, and that he never ever meant to be abusive. And I didn't call the police on him to get him in trouble. And of course, that's what he thinks. And I've got no way of proving anything different. And that's what his mind thinks. But anyway, I because he said that no matter whether he sees me or doesn't see me, he always loves me and misses me. And if we've fallen out or not, he always misses me and loves me. So basically, by him saying he doesn't want to see me, that is either him being protective or him putting on a show, and because he hasn't heard from me in over a month. I didn't. I sent one letter. I did send a letter to his mum to tell them that to contact their solicitor and to say I hadn't reported him. That it was mental health services. I thought he was basically going to drive the car he was fixing, my car. Um, I thought he was going to drive into a brick wall and blooming hurt himself, when he had this meltdown. And so I was just panic stricken and I phoned 999 and I asked for mental health services and I said, what had happened. And they just, I don't know why, but I didn't realise the camera was on. And of course, I was just saying what I was worried about. And they just turned it into an arrest, and that's not what I wanted. I just didn't want him to be arrested. And he hadn't been harassing me or stalking me. He was patient and saw me when I said I would see him. And I've learned my lesson, I guess, that I needed to not let anyone else walk over me. So the reason why he would get upset not to see me is because whenever I was with my family, my children, I I couldn't let them know about him because there'd been trouble, obviously, and um, I was just waiting for him to for a little time to pass by for him to have been good for a certain amount of time. Anyway, I'm so stressed because I do genuinely love this person, and I genuinely think that he has amazing qualities. And I genuinely thought that it was his insecurities and his anxiety issues and abandonment issues that was causing him to behave the way that he was behaving. And I thought if I helped him to overcome those, that everything would be fine. But of course, I got triggered by his behaviours, thinking that it represented that he didn't care. But when I think about it, I think, well, he actually did put a lot of effort in. He did. He was cleaning himself up. He was doing the brushing his teeth. He was not smoking in my company or swearing in my company. He did all the things I asked, and I promised him that I would see him on his birthday, and I wanted to keep my promise. And but the injunction was in. The police said that obviously I haven't made any statements. I didn't press any charges, so they couldn't push it any further. They had no evidence to check out. Obviously, I haven't given them any, and so that means that instead of them saying, they said that they wanted to try to put him in prison and for him to have an injunction not to see me for 2 years. At least that didn't happen, but I didn't want this other thing to happen where he just cuts me off. So anyway, I was so stressed. I didn't act stressed, but I think obviously internally, because I thought he'd be glad to see me and happy to just us be okay with each other. But I kind of instantly, I haven't mentioned this, but menstrually, my period was like 2 weeks ago, but I was so stressed when I knocked at his door and he was telling me, well, he didn't tell me, I could just hear him in the background saying, just shut the door, like basically just shut the door on me, like for me to go away. Which is so unfair, isn't it? The amount of times he's hunted me down and found me or stalked me and begged me to take him back into his life, and yet that's how he treats me when I apologise and when I try to be nice. He just acts like that, but I think it's a front that I'm not going to force anything. I got my answer, but I still love him, and I believe that he loves me, but he's going to be protective, and I've been protective. But anyway, I was so wanting to see him, I think, and making everything right, that I just had an instant, like, pouring with blood. And so, and I kind of went all faint and just so numb in my mind. I just so overwhelmed. So I'd been trying to have a different mindset so that I would actually not be so wanting things to be perfect. And my problem is that I had worried too much about my children, but my children haven't really thought about my needs or that I want to be loved. And it's all been about what they want, and I've done what they've wanted for a long time, and I've sacrificed my happiness to make them happy, but they don't see it, they don't realise it. And that's why there was lots of fallouts between me and this guy, because they didn't want me to be with him. And so I couldn't let them know anything about him. And obviously that created meltdowns. And I thought, well, they'd accept him better if he, was a bit more, I don't know, socially accepted. So even though I went to a refuge, I still loved him. And I just can't make sense of myself. But I could actually, he's a very interesting person. And I thought, he's actually, out of all the people I've known, he's actually tried the hardest to stay in touch with me. And obviously, there was an injunction, so he wasn't able to talk to me. And now in his mind, he thinks that I got him arrested, and he didn't want to know me. And but so I just have to accept that. But that's not the outcome that I wanted. So I just wanted us to hold each other, comfort each other, and just get on with life. And I'd already mentally chatted. Well, I chatted a couple of times. I've chatted to a cousin-in-law of mine, and she was telling me, lighten up on my expectations. And then my eldest son was like, well, Mum, you only live once, you might as well be happy and just be with the person that you want to be with. And, but I hadn't been able to talk to him and tell him these thought processes. And I'd written it in a card for him, which I didn't get a chance to post, so I thought I'd just knock on the door and hand it over. And I have no idea. So I'm in two minds. The two minds are basically he's saying that because he's hurt, because he's protecting himself, because he wants to put on a front, and he wants to shut off his feelings. And the other thing is that he thinks that I, throw the police on him. Actually, there's three things. Or the other one is that I was just too. But the thing is, from all the stuff I've gone through from him, me asking for him to be well behaved is nothing compared. So for me asking him to be well behaved, and for him to ask him to be patient and wait to see me, because obviously I was going to see him more if he proved himself to be patient. And so I did a little flow chart that I just obviously. Okay, so I put, if it's true love, you'll be together, you'll work things out, you won't have to worry about anything, everything will fall into place. You know and you will do. Love fills your heart, you will believe, you will trust, you will prepare. And I've put an arrow that leads to God loves you always unconditionally, you're never alone. And I've also put, is my flow chart, and I've also put on this side, if it's not true love, then there's nothing lost, and the best is yet to come, and it's experience gained, and there's a life yet to come, and there's faith, hope, and belief and trust. And then I've put down at the bottom, God loves you always unconditionally, you are never alone. So on both sides it leads to God loves you and you're never alone. The thing is, I actually have been in love with this person the whole time I've known him, but I just knew that he wasn't going to be accepted of my family, and so I kept trying to pushing him away and cut him off, and obviously that caused triggers, and he hasn't known right behaviour because he hasn't been taught, so how can he know right behaviour? But his efforts, he did try, and so I'm in love with him, and I've just got to let him go. And the same as I let him go when I went to refuge, but I was gone for 4 months, and he still, when I turned my phone on, he still messaged me every day, twice a day for 4 months, and he still had been working on my car for 4 months. And so for him to just drop me like that, I think there's more involved, and he's obviously had people talking to him, and he must feel that he's been mistreated, and so he's just don't want to know you, kind of thing, which that's heartbreaking, and he doesn't know my side, does he? Because I tried to send him messages on Messenger, but the police said they had his phone, so he's obviously blanked me, or maybe he messaged me. I don't know where my phone is, so haven't looked. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I haven't looked at it, obviously. And I'm just feeling numb from it. And because I've loved him more than anybody ever, you know. I've just loved him more than anybody ever. I felt really close to him, and I always forgave him. So isn't it fair for him to forgive me? Huh? So if he can't forgive me, then it's not true love, huh? Because true love forgives. I've forgiven him every time, and I've given him chances. So, and I did nothing compared to what he's done to me. I just ask him to improve his behaviour, his standards,